Hi, welcome to the Heroic Voice. I am heroic publisher Dennis Maloney. It is the first Saturday in 2026. I believe it is January 3rd, and I am here with Phil Russertt, the CEO of Philbo Distribution. And we're going to talk about comic book distribution. This is the Heroic Voice, where I talk to comic book creators and other interesting people on a variety of subjects. I am Dennis Maloney, publisher of the Heroic Multiverse, where we feature good girl and bad girl artwork, super babes, and all kinds of Silver Agey style stories.
How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Phil, it is a pleasure to have you. I'm hoping that we can be doing some business shortly. What I would like to
Absolutely.
do is, get right to the business side of it. Talk about, how publishers would get into Philbo distribution, how retailers would start accepting product from you, and how distribution, not distributors, um, can serve as something of an intermediary between publishers and retailers. With your permission, let's get into how a prospective comic book publisher, whether he's established or just starting out, would go about getting in touch with you and submitting product.
Sure. So if you go to the website, www.philbodistribution.com, there is a tab there for submissions for publishers. I do have a more intimate onboarding process, being that I am smaller and we are the independent market. So I do video calls with new publishers and I explain the terms and I talk to them about how it works because we are a little bit different than the usual distribution system because of our volume differences, et cetera. We're monthly FOC instead of a weekly FOC. So they would submit through the based on the guidelines, which are very similar to other distribution. We would just need to see samples of the books and what's going on, et cetera. What's your marketing? Because as distributors, we're not really responsible for marketing, though I do more marketing than any other distributor. But you have to have a plan in place to market, push to stores, fan base, etc. And just I don't gatekeep. I don't have as many restrictions as distributors, the larger distributors have. I mean, I understand why they do, of course. Uh, but basically, as long as a publisher's product, their book looks professional, like it can't look like your 5-year-old did the logo, of course. Um, and you have your UPC codes. Um, and you have to be ahead of schedule. Like depending on what, if you're a 5-issue miniseries, you really should at least have 4 issues done before you're going into distribution, so that you can meet those deadlines. If it's an ongoing, you should be at least 6 months ahead. We don't. I don't gatekeep frequency either. If you want to be monthly, quarterly, every other month, I'm fine with what you choose as long as you meet that deadline. It is very, very important that whatever your frequency is, you stick to it. Otherwise, that's it's egregious because the biggest hurdle independent books face is not what you think. A lot of people think it's retailers don't want to give it a try because it's unknown, untested. Although there is truth to that, it's more of they don't know if they're going to get the book. They don't know if the second one's going to come out. They don't know if maybe they get 10 people that wind up really liking issue one and then you disappear because of your budget or your money or whatever, and number two never comes out. And that's a very reasonable concern for a retailer because if you're going to invest in something, you want to know that there's going to be a return on the investment, they're going to be sticking around. So it's very important that they adhere to the frequency. And the other thing is, as far as like if you have nude variant covers, I just ask that you black bag them or bag and board them and put stickers over the private parts. Because though NSFW is not really my thing, but I don't begrudge anybody. If there's a market, there's a market. But as a father of two little children and someone who wants to gain readership in stores again, I don't advise having a naked cover next to Spider-Man. A parent is going to come in with that kid and they don't want to see that. So and that's pretty much my criteria as far as onboarding. I mean, again, just the books have to look professional. They have to be at the same level of what's on the shelves now. As much as I want to help everyone, we can't have substandard, unfortunately, production quality in the books. So just go to the website, go to the submission tab, submit. I respond very quickly to all publishers, and then I would set up a video chat to just discuss with them what I offer, what I'm looking for, what the terms are, and then we go from there. And then when we onboard, I have my product manager Maura. She will send the data sheet to fill out. We also send a contact info sheet, and I have a non-exclusive contract that can be signed.
Okay. For submissions, I would assume that you're looking for high quality, reasonable quality PDFs for that.
Yes, you don't send me physical. I don't need you to expend that expense. Just send PDFs. To be honest with you, I would even just mostly the cover and three or four interiors, are good to for me to look at. You don't necessarily have to send an entire issue, but for each book that you want to solicit, I would need to see samples. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a sample of a complete book. I think. I mean, because just offering 3 to 4 pages doesn't really prove that the book is ready to go.
Well, I mean, it's a good point. I don't see anybody lying that the book isn't done. If they do, then we've
And
got a
no, yeah,
problem.
they'll be out. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, people send in full books anyway. So, but yeah, PDF is fine.
Okay, that's fine. Alrighty, so that's how a comic book publisher would get in touch with you, get product to you, talk to you about the terms. Let's go from the other side. Let's say that you are a comic book retailer. I understand that you have something in excess of 600 stores working with you now.
Just under
Just
600 are
under
signed are
600.
signed up. They're not all ordering, but just under 600 are signed up.
Okay. Let's say you're a comic book retailer and you want some stuff that's available from Philbo. You have She right now, you have Antarctic Press. What other notable names?
Terry Moore, Strangers in Paradise, Heavy Metal, Devil's Due, Zenoscope, um, uh, quite a few people. We had Marat Michaels with Counterpoint Comics. We Dren Productions, which actually sells very well. AC Comics. I don't know if you remember them. They were like the eighth account for Diamond back in the
Yes.
80s.
Yeah.
Femforce. They sell very well. Really nice people.
Yes, they
Um,
are. They are very nice.
Hermes Press. Steve Leaf, who used to work for Diamond, works with Hermes Press. So we have a lot of their books. So we have a lot of notable independents, and then we have independents that you may not have heard of, but are very professional and really good books.
And I hope soon you can include heroic publishing in those. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, we have a plan. I'll get it to you. Um, it's been a long time since we've been in the comic book retail market, and I think it's time we came back. But that having been said, now if you're watching this, you're a comic book retailer, you do not have a contact with Philbo Distribution. How do you sign up?
Okay, so again, on the website, our contact information is there. They can email the it's sorry, term contact at Philbo Entertainment Promotions. There you go, because that's my company, and distribution's a subsidiary of Philbo Entertainment Promotions. The phone number's there as well. But basically, retailers, there's a submission form. You fill it out. It also includes, you have to put your tax ID number, of course, if it applies. There are some states that don't require it, and obviously other countries. And then we just verify that you are a retailer of comic books, that you're a legitimate retailer, because this is wholesale for retailers. It's not for the public to buy from. And they fill out the submission form. I verify their information is correct and accurate. I will send them an invite link to create their own password. Unfortunately, we had several attempts to hack the site in the beginning.
Yeah.
I won't get into that, but I know potentially who it is. So we had to incorporate a second password, which it's kind of been a pain in the rear end for some people, but we are looking to move to another website. So I send you an email with that, a follow-up email with that second password. So basically, the public can see the catalog on the public side on the homepage of the website, but they cannot go in and purchase anything unless you're a retailer and you get behind the wall. So you would create your password, and then you would enter that second password, and now you have access to the catalog.
It's basically a
Uh,
verification code, right?
Basically, Because you're only going to get that second password if I verified that you're a retailer.
Mhm.
We do sell to brick and mortar, and we also do there's a lot of online retailers at this point. But again, as long as you have a legitimate tax ID number and you've legitimately been in sales, and we can verify that you're a legit business, then we're happy to work with you. Um, when you go to the checkout, now we are different than other distribution, which has had its share of resistance, and I understand, but we are prepay.
Yeah.
We don't do a net 60. For
That
this,
was actually going to be my next question, the terms. Yeah. So,
yeah, there are a lot of there are several reasons for that, but basically, before we get into the terms, when you check it's a cart system just like any other retail. You put your carts in, it will automatically calculate the discount, the shipping, and then you pay. And um, it's a month before the books get released because we have to get the books from the small publishers, because again, we're dealing with small independent publishers. Not everyone is doing offset printing. Some of them are doing print on demand.
mhm.
The budgets are tight, etc. So I'm giving them 30 days to send me the books, and then I ship them out. The retailers that have ordered from us have been fine with the terms. They've been making money. They're happy with it. I've been reliably, giving them their books when they're due on the release dates. There's only been a few times. There's like 3 times there were damages. I replaced them immediately. I'm in direct communication with all the retailers. As a matter of fact, have simple questions, or maybe their password didn't work, and I get back to them every day. So our customer service is top notch. We know they're investing in us. We know that they're paying ahead of time, which is something new and different. So I want them to understand that they can trust what we're doing here, and I want to build a more intimate relationship where they're not, like other distributors. I hear complaints. There's no one to contact, or you're talking to some subordinate. There's no better person to come to than the one who owns the business and is invested in it. So if you're going to invest in me, I want to invest in you back. So
That's cool.
uh,
Yeah.
as far as the terms, we are prepay, and we give a 40% discount. Now, I've offered 50% discount if they buy 10 of a title or more. But because we're small press, stores are really not looking to buy that many of one issue. I mean, some do, but most aren't. They'll buy 4, 5, 2 the sample, but we do not have a minimum. So we're not pigeonholing you into you have to spend this much money in order to get an order. We have
You're
people
doing
that order,
prepay. You don't need to do that.
right. I mean, we have stores that order $6,000 a month, and then we have stores that they just get several books and it's like $100. We're not gonna. I know that retailers are struggling and working hard to keep the doors open, and I'm not looking to pinch them. I know that they would probably like a better discount, but until volume comes up and until it's wholesale, and I hate to say this, but you don't get wholesale prices unless you buy wholesale. You have to buy in bulk. So it's a double-edged sword because they're reluctant to order a lot because they're afraid it's going to sit on a shelf, and I understand. But then I can't give you a 50% discount if you're going to buy 3 books. It just,
Mhm.
because the publishers, especially if they're doing print on demand, they're losing money and their profit margins are low. So I tried to work out terms that are fair to everyone, because even at 40%, you can still walk away and make money off of each book. And just to go over the math real quick, because there's some people that are apparently not good at math. It's a $4.99 book. You get 40% off, right? You're spending $2.99 on the book, right? $3 on the book. Depending on how much you order, obviously your shipping, calculates into that. But say you buy $100, $200 worth of product, and your shipping winds up being 50 cents a book or whatever. You're still walking away, with a profit of, a couple bucks per book. Is it large money? No, but who's making a lot of money on floppies these days? Nobody. Um, so you're still making money. The difference of the 10%, the 40% to the 50% is like 48 cents. So it's not make or break discount. The prepay, the thing is with Diamond, For 30 years, they were the monopoly and they had the large publishers to subsidize the small publishers. So they could afford to do a net 60 and they could afford to offer 50% discount and maybe free shipping, depending, because they were making millions of dollars. Once they lost all the large publishers, their model was a failure, which
Hmm.
is evident. There were millions of dollars in unpaid invoices, and their shipping was too is expensive, and shipping costs and shipping supplies, and they went down. Fortunately, I'm the little guy starting from new. I'm not a venture capitalist. Um, and I need to protect me. I need to protect the publishers from everything that Diamond just did to them. But it also is fair to the stores because I am delivering the product. They're getting their product. I'm not,
Hmm.
to think that I would not deliver. I didn't go through all this, invest this money and this time to steal several $1,000s, become a pariah in the industry where retailers, publishers, and fans hate me. Especially since I'm a publisher myself. I publish my own books through here, so I'm just as invested as anybody that is involved. And of course, I want retailers to order my books and hopefully make money off my books. So I'm as invested in both sides as you can be. So we don't take returns, but we replace damages right away. We are working on some things though. We're working on possible solutions to getting a physical catalog, taking a limited amount of returns per order, and giving a larger discount based on tier pricing, et cetera, but a better discount. So it's not like I don't hear the retailers' concerns. But again, it's got to make sense and be reasonable for everybody. I can't give what I don't have, you know?
You need a business model that works. From an
Right.
economic perspective, and I'm putting my economics hat on here. I knew Diamond was doomed to fail from the
Yep.
start. Their business model was just too many holes, too many flaws in it. The discount was too large. You can blame Carol Kalish for that. You can blame the Florida guys for that. As much as I love Carol, she let her people, what was the name of the distribution down there in Florida that she worked for?
Oh,
Um,
oh, I was just
there were a couple
talking to
of brothers
I was
that
just talking to somebody about it the other day.
yeah, it's not it's not that
Yeah.
important. But that's where it came from. And Diamond had to, go down to 60 to compete with that. You are being upfront with the retailers, telling them exactly what they can
Yes.
expect, right? And they can either buy in or not. And
And the other thing is, to just keep in mind, with Diamond, you know, any other wholesale and retail doesn't work this way. It's a very they what they did was they made it a niche market going straight to comic stores only, right? Which is a
yep,
niche market now. They got rid of the gas stations and everything because returns were really a problem. These stores would order, you know, 3,000 copies and return 70% of the books
yeah,
damaged. So that was a failing model too, and I get that. Um, but when you make it a niche market and it's only comic stores and you're limiting how you get out there, that's already hard to begin with. But then when you're giving all of these, um, I hate to say this, but lopsided terms to the retailers that affect publishers, et cetera, which is evident now.
yeah,
Um, it's different than any other wholesale. Like if you own a restaurant and you go to Restaurant Depot, you get wholesale prices buying in bulk, but you have to pay before you leave. You don't get to
yeah,
say, I'll see you in 60 days. And the other thing is, people don't understand, the retailers don't understand how much money I have to spend on labor to keep track of all that invoicing. That's a lot of extra work and labor. Same with a physical catalog. I can't give you a 50% discount if I'm hemorrhaging money on these other things. It's like, unfortunately, Diamond really gave a really nice, accommodating package to retailers. Not saying that retailers were, making millions and doing great. It's a tough industry, but the terms were very favorable to retailers. And unless you were a large publisher doing 20, 30, 40, 60, 100,000 in volume, Um, there's no margin for
Yeah.
anyone.
Let me pose a question to you. I wasn't going to talk about this, but it was something you said. Beyond comic book stores, have you been reaching out to other places, tattoo parlors, places where comic books might sell?
Yes, so between marijuana dispensaries and toy stores and all the things you mentioned, there are opportunities out there. Um, I have not made a strong push for them in libraries yet because, and I can't mention it yet, but there's something that is being worked on currently that would be a very huge game changer in the industry. That if I did that, then it would be a
Mhm.
lot easier to be pitching to these
Well,
places.
we have trade paperbacks. If you can make that deal to the libraries, I'd be
Right.
happy to supply you with the trade paperbacks that we have. Um, not the quarterly books that I'm contemplating for distribution to comic book stores, although we
Right.
can certainly offer the trade paperbacks to the comic book stores too. But I've not been thinking in those terms. Okay, let's, in the time we have left, get to the other side of this, where Diamond was not really very good at the interface between publishers and retailers. You mentioned marketing, right? Um, what sorts of things do you recommend for publishers? Um, let's say, for example, we've got a poster, uh, hypothetically featuring Flair, the G Girl, the Liberty Girl, and we make that poster available to any retailer who orders books from us. How do we go about making those kinds of things? Not just posters, but like pins, anything else, hats, right? Uh,
Well, anyone who distributes through me, and again, I don't gatekeep your business as your business how you want it to see fit. If it's something that you want to sell through them, we sell it as well. We will distribute items, but we also encourage distributors give us flyers and we will throw them in all the packages, and we do not charge you for it because it doesn't really cost me anything to throw in an extra flyer. Or some publishers have offered like previews of their own, like small 6-page previews or things of that to garner interest. And stores that we get several hundred orders, and maybe of those several hundred stores, unfortunately, 70% didn't order your book. Well, we'll reach that 70% with whatever marketing material you ask us to throw in. Um, we do a full page in our digital catalog for each title, so you're not buried. You get a full page. Um, we make one of the small publishers the cover of the catalog each month, and we do not charge you for that, so that you get things that way. I was doing a live show weekly to promote who's soliciting. I've been very busy. Unfortunately, I haven't done it since Terry Moore was my last guest right before Thanksgiving. So we've done that. We're doing other things as well. We're looking into our own free comic book day under a different name, of course, because we know that it's trademarked. Um, we we're looking at a physical catalog that's also going to have a flip side to it, and it would be our type of quote unquote wizard magazine that would highlight different, mainstream and independent publishers and get them out there. That would be solicited to the stores, like each retailer with a limited, like if they order a certain amount, would get a free copy. And then after that, they would be purchasable at a low price.
yeah, it seems
Uh,
like that's something that retail store owners could actually sell if there's a flip side
yes,
to that catalog.
correct. And there's fans that love the catalog. So they buy the catalog, and then you get that magazine on the other side. You get interviews, you get interactive stuff. So we're working on quite a few things for marketing in terms of that. I do email blasts weekly, really, and I highlight different publishers, but I also encourage retailers. I say, listen, retailers, we're happy to highlight the retailer of the month too. If there's a retailer that wants a little free marketing, I'll do it for free. I love comics. I'm 53 and I've been reading for over 40 years, and I love the medium. It's the greatest entertainment medium that exists, in my opinion. And I appreciate retailers. I love going into comic stores. Who doesn't? And I appreciate their struggles, but I also recognize and appreciate publisher struggles. And I don't think I'm in a position to say, well, okay, this person matters, this person doesn't. They both matter. I'm bridging that gap between them. And I have to do the best I can to do a balancing act that everyone is walking away with a chance to make money and succeed. We've had retailers openly say they think small press should just disappear because if you can't do a print run of 2,000 or 4,000, you shouldn't be in this. Well, what I say to that is, well, if you're a store that doesn't order more than $100, $200, should you not be allowed to be open? Um, we have to stop that mentality. The mentality is growth. The mentality is nurturing. The industry only gets stronger if we all work together and promote quality stuff, but it's become gimmicky. It's all about blind bags instead of
Yeah,
quality stories to invest in. Blind bags are great as a band-aid for a gaping wound. Absolute Batman selling great, but that's not the solution. It's one title and its fad is going to wear out like every other fad. And then where are we left? We need quality titles every month that are going to garner readers that are loyal and want to come back every month, like it used to be in the 80s, even the 90s. You had a pull list of 40 books a month, you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
and
Or
that's where we got to go.
in the 40s and the 50s, you would go to the stores and grab the titles you want. I remember when I was a kid, 4 years old, 5 years old, going to the local drugstore and looking at that spinner rack and pulling out Superman and Hot Stuff and
Yeah.
Dennis the Menace. You know,
And the problem too is it used to be a disposable piece of entertainment. You rolled it up, you put it in your back pocket, and and it was affordable. But now with print costs being what they are and everything, it's not as affordable anymore. So it's not considered disposable. People are, with CGC and everything, it's become a collector's market more than a reader's market, I think. And collectors have been keeping it from falling apart. So I'm grateful to that, but sustainability has to be getting readers back as well. We have to have
yes.
both. We
Oh,
have to have both. I'm not an either or kind of guy because at the end of the day, we have to have everything in our tool belt. Like as a distributor, I still love Kickstarter and crowdfunding. It's another tool in the belt,
absolutely.
you
We
know?
have on our side a loyal group of followers who will back everything that we put up on Kickstarter. The trick for us is to expand that, right? To bring
Sure.
in new people. And that's why I want to get back into comic book stores because the odds are if you're seeing our book in a comic book store, you're probably seeing it for the first time. Um, so we want to put our best foot forward and give fans who may be new to the heroic publishing characters something that they will like. Um,
And the other thing is with direct market, there's um there's an after effect that people don't think about. When people get books off a of Kickstarter, they might not read them right away. They got a pile of all their indie books they didn't get to, or they read it and they love it and they tell you how great it is, but they're not creating buzz. They're not talking about it. They're not saying, "Hey, did you check this out?" But when you start to buy something off the shelves of a store, you start talking about it. You start saying, "Hey, did you check out that book from Heroic Publishing? It was really good. It was called blah blah blah, and it's on issue 3. And man, you got to check it out. It's really good." And word of mouth creates buzz creates interest creates energy and notoriety, and that's how you create this following. No one's talking about crowdfunded books, but they are talking about books on store shelves.
mhm. That's not strictly true. I mean, the current one that we have going, which is volume one of the League of Champions, we're seeing people coming on board for that I've never seen before because a lot of our fans have been talking it up on social media, right? So
That's great because I don't see a lot of
there's
that with
some of
other
that,
people.
but there's not a lot of it. Um,
But that's
so
great. Word of mouth is so important.
oh yeah, absolutely. Um, Social media. Let's get to that. You said you were doing podcasts. You're going to get back to it. Do you do a social media presence? Do you post on Facebook or X or
Yeah, I do Facebook and Instagram. I don't go on X. I don't do TikTok. I don't even have time to manage all that. But Facebook, I have the 5,000 friend limit and another like 2,000 people following, and I get good engagement on Facebook. I have several pages as well. I mean, it also depends on the algorithm. I think that's the biggest problem is Facebook's algorithm is going to bury certain things,
Yeah.
and people aren't going to see it. That if they saw it, they'd be interested, or they're seeing it 6 days later. You know, but for example, like I'm just now
Well,
doing a
what's your
cover.
tag? What's your tag on Facebook so people can find it?
Oh, it's Philip Russertt. It's my name.
Okay.
Now I have Philbo Publishing and Distribution, but Facebook buries business pages,
Yeah.
so there's not a lot of engagement. So I go off my regular page, and I get engagement. So we're doing a cover contest and a writers contest now, and we have 30 something people on board for each contest, and it's getting a lot of buzz, and it's getting out there, and people are sharing it out, and I'll get a good 90, 100 something people on there. Am I doing like huge numbers on social media? No, but I have a good following. Like you, I have a loyal base. Um, and I'm a believer that life is a 12 round fight, and I'm only in the first minute of the first round. And you have to play the long game. I know people get frustrated and they want things to grow. There's going to be hills and valleys. There's going to be punches. There's going to be knockdowns. You're going to get knocked down. But like I tell my daughters, if you ever get into a fight and you're afraid to get hit, you've lost.
Yeah.
You
That is
know,
so true.
it's a 12 round fight and you've got to sustain. I mean, even Todd McFarlane had said, just be consistent. Someone said to me, yeah, but they say be at the right place at the right time. How are you supposed to do that? Always be there.
Yeah. The opportunity, you need to be ready for the opportunity when it presents itself, right? If you're not ready for the opportunity, it can be there and you'll miss it.
And the thing is, the opportunity is not the consistent thing. So
No.
you have to be consistent for it to find you.
Yes. Well, I want to thank you for this. We'll get this edited, posted, be a week or two most likely. I want to encourage people who are seeing this to go to your website, to go to your social media page. If you like this, hit that like button, subscribe, and share. Sharing is important in every aspect. If you see something you like, whether it's a podcast or a comic book, tell other people about it. Because if you like it, odds are they're going to like it too. So, any last thought?
Uh, just just remember, independent comics created She, Concrete, Astro City, Strangers in Paradise, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Nexus. Don't sleep on us. And we're even better than we used to be. Production values are much higher, and we're working with Marvel DC people now. We are not the stigma that is out there. Support indie, support fresh new ideas that are passionate and not beholden to shareholders.
Thank you again. Have a
Thanks,
good
man.
weekend.
You too.